Good morning, everyone. I want to thank you for joining me here this morning. Nothing is more important to me than the safety of Ontario's workers. Workers are mums, dads, sons, and daughters, and all of them deserve our support to do their jobs safely. Essential workers are our frontline heroes. When our grocery store clerks, construction workers, truck drivers, bus drivers, nurses, and PSWs are safe and healthy, all of us are stronger. Workplace safety isn't only when you roll up your sleeves and are doing a job. Safety is just as important when you are on break, having lunch, or traveling between job sites. In fact, we've learned it is these off-the-clock tasks that are leading to workers getting sick. That's going to change with our new Stay Safe All Day campaign. Inspectors are now visiting the kitchen and the break room. They're reminding everyone to wear masks, maintain distance, and to wash their hands. Recently, I also announced the start of a province-wide big box blitz. We know that when big businesses don't follow the rules, everyone suffers. Over the weekend, inspectors checked 242 big chain stores in the Greater Toronto and Hamilton area to ensure all the rules were being followed. They found only 69% of these large businesses were doing what they were supposed to do. For these 76 contraventions, inspectors issued 25 tickets and 53 orders. This is truly disappointing. These corporations must do better. Shareholders have the responsibility to keep their workers and customers safe. I want businesses to know if they won't operate safely in this emergency, you won't operate at all. Our increased inspections, combined with our Stay Safe All Day campaign, means we're sparing no expense. We're getting hundreds of uniforms out there, fast, to make sure businesses are acting responsibly. They're going to factories, shops, warehouses, distribution centers, construction sites, farms, and distribution centers. The first blitz starts today in Hastings and Prince Edward counties. After that, 10 more campaigns are being planned in Durham, Niagara, Windsor, Halton Region, Huron-Perth, Peterborough, Toronto, Kitchener-Waterloo, Hamilton, and Leeds-Grenville-Lanark. The number of inspections my ministry conducted in 2020 increased by 39% from 2019. Since the start of this pandemic, inspectors have made nearly 35,000 visits to workplaces to ensure safety is a top priority. I also want to recognize the important work being done on our farms. Our farm workers and farmers keep food on our tables. This is incredibly vital work that I can't thank them enough for doing. When you're on the job, whether you were born here in Ontario or you come from overseas, your safety is my business, period. This is why we're also ramping up inspections on farms with a focus on keeping temporary foreign workers safe. These inspections have the power to save lives. Lastly, I want to emphasize how important it is to stay home if you are sick. Thanks to an agreement between Prime Minister Trudeau and Premier Ford, there is over $1 billion dedicated for 10 paid sick days. This means there's financial help when workers need to stay home because of COVID-19. Maximizing this program is the best way to support workers and their families. To date, I've been told 110,000 workers have taken the federal government up on this offer. Unfortunately, only a quarter of the funds for this program have been used so far. But we know our federal partners are working to raise awareness and get money into workers' pockets faster. Combined with the provincial job-protected leave we introduced as our first action last year, people's jobs and their incomes are protected. For months, I've told workers I would stand with them through this very, very challenging time. My commitment to them is unwavering. Together, we're going to beat this deadly virus. I want to thank you for your time and to remind you to stay home and stay safe. Thank you very much, and happy to take questions.
We'll go to the phone lines for questions. First question, please. First question comes from Ashley Lagassic at News Talk 1010. Please go ahead.
Hi there. I hope you can hear me okay. Thank you for taking my question. Minister McNaughton, how are inspectors ensuring only essential staff are at workplaces? I've heard on social media from workers who say they're not essential, but because their employer deems them so, they're forced to go into work in person.
Look, I want every worker in the province of Ontario to know that they have the right to refuse unsafe work. I always encourage people to work with management, their supervisors, for example, and also the Joint Health and Safety Committee in that local business and in that workplace. If they have concerns, they can call our toll-free number to the Ministry of Labour at 877-202-0008. My job is to protect every single worker that's going into workplaces right now during this 28-day lockdown period and beyond. We're obviously sparing no expense. We have hundreds of inspectors going into different job sites and workplaces to protect workers right now. But I want those workers to know that they can always call the Ministry of Labour and have someone respond to their concern.
Follow-up?
Thank you. And what workplaces are high priority in these inspections? Where do we know the problems are and how are those being addressed?
Well, that's a great question. We do take advice from local public health units, municipalities, as well as we take complaints from the public at large. So we've designed these blitzes. As I said, we have a Stay Safe all-day campaign where hundreds of inspectors are going into essential workplaces and to construction job sites right now. The list of priority areas include distribution centers, warehouses, big box stores, construction sites, and farms. And all of those identified job sites and workplaces come from local public health units and municipal concerns, and of course, some data that we have at the WSIB and in our ministry.
Next question.
Next question comes from Mo Fahim at Vista Radio. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Minister. Mine is less of a question, or so I missed the first couple of minutes. Would you mind repeating the first couple of numbers in your remarks?
Sure. We're sparing no expense when it comes to protecting the health and safety of workers across Ontario. We have hundreds of inspectors out in every community going into every type of business that's open during this lockdown period. We want to ensure that those essential workers are protected and that businesses are stepping up to the plate. I want to be clear and be crystal clear to businesses, to workers, to supervisors and managers across the province. Everyone knows what they need to be doing right now. We've put out, as a ministry, about 200 resources at ontario.ca/COVID safety. This includes how to stay safe on the job site, in workplaces, includes posters and tip sheets. I'm proud to say we've translated a number of these documents into more than a dozen languages, so every worker in the province can understand and see these. We need everyone to step up now to be more vigilant today than at any point during COVID-19 to keep workers safe, and we're taking action by sending hundreds of inspectors into workplaces across the province.
Follow-up?
Thank you. Just for clarification, I meant, could you repeat the number of inspections that were done since your last update? And my follow-up is just simply, understanding the new locations the new regions that you announced today. When do you think this initiative would, or this increased initiative would reach northern regions and the province?
Yeah, no, great question. So to date, we've done nearly 35,000 inspections in workplaces since March of last year, since COVID-19 hit Ontario. We've shut down now, as of this morning, 61 unsafe workplaces and job sites where our inspectors went in and determined that workers were unsafe. We are now launching a number of blitzes. We're into 242 big box stores, across the GTHA on Saturday and Sunday. We found only 69% of those big box stores were in compliance, which is clearly not good enough. We are now going into big box stores across the province. We're also going into distribution centers, manufacturing plants, farms, going to construction job sites, every type of business that's open during this 28-day lockdown period to ensure that workers are protected.
Next question.
Next question comes from Sarah Moitahanzadeh. Please go ahead.
Hi, Minister. Last year, I know that the ministry conducted a number of proactive inspections in vulnerable sectors like agriculture, temp agencies, meatpacking plants. But over the course of last year, I believe only one ticket to an employer was issued. In the most recent blitz, you mentioned 25 tickets were issued. What's changed in your approach and why?
Well, look, to be quite frank with you, businesses know now what they need to be doing. We certainly were proactive in the early days of COVID-19, going out, educating businesses. But when we see, for example, a big box blitz and only 69% of businesses were in compliance, it's not good enough. Our inspectors are going into every type of workplace to keep workers safe, to enforce the rules and make sure businesses are following these guidelines and these rules that are in place. And look, we've now shut down 61 unsafe workplaces and job sites, 6 in the last 7 days. So clearly we're taking a tough stand. But my point here is that I want to ensure that every worker in this province is protected from COVID-19.
Follow up.
Yeah, I want to return to the issue of paid sick leave. You mentioned the federal benefit, but that program is temporary, and the call from medical officers and other health advocates has been for permanent paid sick days, which so far it seems like the ministry and government is not willing to countenance. I'm wondering why that is. Why should workers not receive a day's pay when they have to call in sick?
Well, look, it's a responsibility as we're going through clearly an unprecedented time with COVID-19. It's the responsibility of every leader in this province, whether it's a political leader, a business leader, a labor leader, to let workers know that this federal program exists. Our very first measure, as you know, Sarah, that we took when COVID-19 hit the province, I introduced legislation that guaranteed every single worker in this province, if they're impacted by COVID-19, if they're home in self-isolation, in quarantine, if they're looking after a son or a daughter because schools are closed, they're not going to be fired for that. I also eliminated the need for sick notes. I don't think workers need to be asked for sick notes. And as I said, Prime Minister Trudeau and Premier Ford signed an agreement, 10 paid sick days. We need to let workers know that this exists. Only 110,000 workers, I've been told, have taken the federal government up on this offer. So there's literally hundreds of millions of dollars left for these workers. This is a program that's in place now. I have spent the last week or so on the phone with federal ministers, imploring them to get these payments out as quickly as possible. I think that's one of the improvements we can make. But this is a federal program. They're administering this program. And if there are improvements to be made, then the federal government's going to have to make those improvements.
Next question.
Question comes from Richard Southern at 680 News. Please go ahead.
Morning. The 76 contraventions you say the inspectors found at the big box stores, what were they exactly? What were all these rules the big box stores were breaking?
Yeah, great question. As I said, 242 inspections of big box stores just in the GTHA this weekend, and we're now expanding that blitz right across the province. Some of the contraventions that were found included physical distancing not happening, masking protocols not being followed. In some cases, we know that, for example, plexiglass wasn't up between customers and staff. So a whole host of infractions occurred. I mean, 69% compliance at this stage in the pandemic is clearly not good enough.
Follow-up?
If the compliance is that low, Minister, how come no big box store has been shut down? And are you planning more restrictions for these locations?
Look, we're going to continue ramping up inspections in every type of workplace, including big box stores in every community across the province. I will share with you that there are a number of investigations from the weekend that are ongoing, and we'll have more to say about that in the days and weeks ahead.
Next question.
Next question comes from Colin DeMello at CTV News. Please go ahead.
Hi, good morning, Minister. I'm wondering what the average fine was for these corporations that were found in violation of the rules, and is the government planning to name any of these stores that were actually in violation of the rules so customers know, to be wary of which business they're shopping at?
Yeah, great question. Every employer, every business, every shareholder in the province knows the seriousness of violating the Occupational Health and Safety Act. In fact, the fines can be as high as $1.5 million under the Occupational Health and Safety Act. Under the Reopening Ontario Act, fines can be as high as $10 million. We issued a number of tickets to big box stores on the weekend, including the big box corporations themselves, supervisors and managers who are clearly in violation of the protocols that are put in place. These fines range from $750 to $1,000. But just to be clear, as a ministry, we've now shut down 61 unsafe workplaces and job sites, 6 in the last week, which hits the bottom line of companies in a very serious way, as well as there are a number of investigations from the weekend, from the big box blitz that's ongoing, and there'll be more to say about that in the time ahead.
Follow-up?
So just to follow up on both questions, why won't you name any of these businesses that have actually been shut down? I mean, doesn't the public have the right to know that these places are in violation of rules that we're all following? And as well, if you're handing a corporation a $1,000 fine, what really is the incentive for them to really, get their act together? $1,000 for a big corporation is a drop in the bucket compared to what they would make, in an average afternoon.
Look, you're right, but I want to be clear that the fines are as high as $1.5 million. There are investigations ongoing right now. These take time. When it comes to unsafe workplaces, we'll continue without hesitation to shut down unsafe job sites. For example, 6 places were shut down in the last week, many of those construction job sites. Every worker on those job sites know that they were closed down, and the public is protected. So we'll continue to send inspectors in to keep people safe. But I want to make it quite clear that overwhelmingly, the majority of businesses in Ontario truly have done a good job. They've stepped up. It's the bad actors that we're focusing on now. And if big box stores are shut down, any of them, once these investigations are done, I can assure you that the public will know.
Next question.
Next question comes from Stephanie Marotta at Globe and Mail. Please go ahead.
Hi, Minister. Thank you for taking
Morning,
my
Stephanie.
question. So my first question is about the inspection blitz that was done in the fall and comparing that to what it is that you're doing now. So in the fall, the province mentioned that the inspection blitz would have a similar focus in going into workplaces and educating and enforcing that workers put in preventative measures. But we're hearing the same thing now, that workplaces still aren't putting in plexiglass, using masks, and overseeing those types of things in lunch breaks, which are all things that we were hearing about a couple of months ago as well. So what did we learn about how breaks happened in workplaces during the blitz a couple of months ago, and why have those issues not yet been addressed in that they need to be sussed out with yet another blitz now?
Well, look, they are being addressed. I can assure you every single day in Ontario, I have hundreds of inspectors going into different workplaces. In fact, we now have more inspectors in provincial history than at any point before. We have more inspections today than at any point in the history. So 35,000 workplace inspections have been done. We've shut down 61 job sites and unsafe workplaces, as I mentioned. The things that we're seeing the most in workplaces, and a lot of tickets are being being issued because pre-screening of customers and staff entering a particular workplace isn't happening in some cases. The masking protocols aren't being followed, as well as physical distancing. Those are the three main infractions that we're seeing. But I can assure you, job sites and workplaces are being shut down if necessary, and we're using every enforcement tool that we have to enforce the rules. But at the same time, we do continue educating businesses and workers about the protocols.
Follow-up?
And I want to loop back again on paid sick days. And I know you mentioned that you've been speaking with the federal government about ensuring that that money gets out faster, but that's not the barrier that we've been hearing about from workers. We've been hearing that they only qualify if they lose more than 50% of their hours, and that doesn't allow them to be able to stay home sick for a day. And we've also been hearing that the federal program doesn't pay them as much as their general job does. So they're losing money if they're staying home as it is, and that's preventing them from staying home while they're sick. So with that being said, why is the province not either creating its own paid sick day or looking at mandating paid sick days during the pandemic, seeing that the federal program doesn't seem substantial enough to get workers to stay safe?
Well, look, the provincial responsibility was to bring in a job protection leave, and that's what we did. Our very first action when COVID-19 hit the province. The federal government stepped up to the credit to provide $500 a week in sick pay. I understand it's obviously not as much as workers are making on the job, but clearly these are unprecedented times. We have to get to the point when we're mass vaccinating people here in Ontario. Furthermore, I mean, our government has stepped up with billions and billions of dollars in relief for workers, for families, and for small businesses across the province. I think of the billions of dollars in hydro rate relief for families at this time. The checks that we've cut to mums and dads who have kids at home. We've brought in protections for tenants across the province. So all levels of government have worked together. We need to continue to work together. That's why I have reached out over the last week. I have, quite frankly, heard concerns that payments from the federal government sick day program aren't getting out fast enough. That's why I've been working the phones, and I know the Premier has done the same, and we'll continue working with the federal government to improve any program that's necessary.
Thank you.
Great. Okay. Thanks, everyone.